I'm wondering if you think that the Trump administration should seriously look at moving the Olympics to a red city where you know things are going to be run properly, like a city in Florida, maybe Miami, or maybe Dallas in Texas, or maybe a city in your home state.
Only in the Banana Republic, baby. Only in Miami.
I mean, what's that line from The Usual Suspects? The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. I think the greatest trick that Miami ever pulled, or that Florida has ever pulled, is that this is somehow a competent, well-run city or state with good actors and good governance, and nothing could be further from the truth. I mean,
a lot of bad actors.
And they're all moving here, excited, thinking,
the whole show wouldn't exist if this place were the kind of place that you'd want to hold the 2028 Summer Olympics, which is supposed to be held in Los Angeles, which of course is plagued now by a biblical tragedy. But I just want to throw out there for a moment. We are joined today by my co-host Paula Barros, a.k.a. Pauley.
That's a great segue there.
Pauley.
Billy. Great segue.
Miami New Times Best Comedian. What is it like? And speaking of Miami disasters, let's look. But enough about Pauley's bangs.
Which, by the way, right? They're great.
They are there.
Thank you.
So Pauley was Miami New Times Best Comedian 2024.
Yeah, you should have heard me on the countdown. I was like, for New Year's Eve, I was like, 3, 2, 1. I'm no longer Miami's best comedian.
No.
I was so sad.
Pobrecita. So Pauley is a comedian, a voiceover artist. She's the host of A&E's Cold Case Files podcast, the Karen podcast for Wondery, and the producer and one of the hosts of the Sacred Scandal True Crime podcast.
Those all sound very serious.
They're
true
all
crimey.
about murder. It's all very deathy, and I am involved in all of that.
And she's also the voice of all the women on Spanish South Park.
All the women.
Most of the women on Spanish South Park, right? You do all the dubbing.
You just got it right, which is great. Every time a host introduced me in comedy here, they go, and welcome, the voice of The Simpsons. They never get it right.
Oh.
So thank you for getting the South Park right.
Who are some of the characters on South Park that you voice? En Espanol.
I do the fat goth girl. Can you still say fat?
Hang on, let me check.
We can say that.
We can say that now. Yes. And I'm thick, so like it's my people. So I do the fat goth girl. She's amazing. I do the new girlfriend of Mr. Mackey. Okay, you know that guy. Okay.
Yeah, but it's not MK in Espanol.
En español es bien. Vamos a hablar hoy de las cosas que tenemos que hacer para el colegio. Bien. And this is a girl. She's a woman. And I also do like the really ultra feminist new vice principal, strong woman. Mujer fuerte. So I have really fun ladies and some little girls and stuff. But I love South Park. They need to put out some new episodes.
She also hosts Tuesdays at the Greystone Hotel South Beach Comedy Night, Thursdays at the Arlo Hotel in Wynwood. Both free.
Both free.
Both hosted by you.
And
Find
curated.
her.
Curated too.
On the IG machine at Pauley, Pauley me. Pauley me. M-E.
Pauley me. Yeah.
Absolutely. So here's the question. Miami, are we ready for the 2028 Summer Olympics?
Are we ready for the World Cup?
What would that be like here?
I love that. I think we need new categories would be introduced for sure, like the sports of Miami, right? Like jet skiing. Was that in the Olympics?
But like fully automatic, like jet skiing, like combined with like riflery, right? There'd be like AK-47s on be like Waterworld is basically what it is.
Catching of roosters.
Cockfighting.
That's good. Fishing off of like places you're not supposed to fish off of.
Cockfighting and also chickens fighting as well. And
new categories for
sure.
No,
but I'm just talking about infrastructurally and governmentally. What would this be like? I feel like it would be a epic fiasco.
Oh yeah, we
like
have to have
monumental.
like a ballet. Like, don't they have ballets and stuff at the beginning? Like
they couldn't even do Copa America at one venue, at one stadium, without. Yeah. Miami is the first place that innovated a soccer riot before the game. Like that, like we're the first place that ever like did that. So we're on the cutting edge, but how big of a disaster do you think that would be?
Very big.
Very big. Large
disaster,
Billy.
If you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out.
Why don't you run it though? Why don't you like offer to produce it?
They wanted them to. the chair of the DNC down here.
She means the Summer Olympic, the 228 Summer.
Yeah, bro.
It would be such a shit show.
I'd like to see you do it.
Like just the total collapse of infrastructure, the total collapse of buildings,
buildings,
just people being the lack of public transit, the inability of people to get from one place to another. What are they gonna build? What are they going to do? Throw everybody out of Liberty City to build single-purpose stadiums for 2 weeks?
They need to do it in Homestead. That would be the idea, to do it like in open field, like summer cool Homestead.
Build it on strawberry fields.
I'd like to nominate Homestead. The Homestead.
The Homestead Olympics.
Yeah. Florida City.
But irregardless, that would be how this would go anyway. They would call it Miami, and it would literally take place everywhere except for Miami. Miami Gardens, Homestead,
please don't not
maybe
near
even
me.
Miami
Not
Lakes,
near me.
Doral.
You know they have
probably.
like a 290th street, like a 311th street in
Nope,
Miami.
I don't know anything about that.
Don't you think at some point they were like, let's just make this a difference, like change the name of the county?
So if you think about it, to get from one end of the county to the other with no traffic would still probably take like an hour and a half, like just to get from one. It's got to be one of the biggest counties in the country, except for Monroe, which is the longest. Because it's just the chain of islands. You remember, it goes all the way down the Keys. It's also the narrowest county.
The
probably.
Keys Olympics would be great.
Monroe County Summer Olympics.
Track and field will definitely be an
Key
interesting
West.
sight.
Holy shit.
Running over the 7 Mile Bridge.
Oh, absolutely. And rafting to Cuba.
Obsessed.
Or from Cuba.
Yes.
Everybody.
Oh, that was the wrong. Hang on one more time. Rafting from Cuba.
We can say that now.
There we go.
Yeah, because you're Cuban now.
Yeah.
So,
And you're a Republican now, right?
hang on. I got it.
You're goddamn right, meatball.
So here's a story from New Year's that we did not get to last week.
Hey, how come we're not hearing any songs in English and it's only Spanish?
The president of the Biscayne Neighborhoods Association says he and other Miami residents are disappointed the Bayfront Park New Year's Eve celebration featured exclusively Spanish-speaking performers.
I think the city of Miami inclusion should play a role in anything that we do that involves taxpayer dollars.
The press release ahead of the event promoted it as the largest Hispanic New Year celebration in the United States.
Paulie, I'm just going to kick this right to you. I'm going to throw to you on
I'm
this.
the Hispanic, so I can say that now. No, I was kidding. But I love that.
We can say that now.
I need that, my ringtone. No, what else did they expect in Miami? I think it's wonderful. What did they like? Would they want like Billy Ray Cyrus? Like, what else did they want to play there? I mean, country would have been cool. I get it, but we don't really.
Actually, the single largest or biggest growing fan base for country music in
Latinos.
America is Latinos.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
I think it's a very Miami. I think it's fine. I think people are complaining for no reason, for sure. What do you think?
Well, I think that diversity is our strength.
But diversity. But I'm sure there were. But I'm sure there was somebody from every Hispanic country representing diversity.
Listen, I think if we want to have a conversation in this country, which we seem to want to have now more than ever post-election, about what it means to be an American and who should stay and who should go, we have to have a conversation about our priorities and our values and what does it mean to be American? Do we
feel American
Do we
now.
speak?
I feel
Do we
Amer-
speak the same language? Are we bilingual? What are the standards going to be for what it means to be an American? That's all I'm saying.
No, the language thing is out. I don't think it's the language anymore. We can't just have a country that just speaks one language. I don't think many countries do that.
But what is the mandate, though, as a result of this past election, as a result of what the new immigration policy is going to be? What I'm saying is, is there not a mandate for some new prioritization of Americanism, if you will? There seems to be a lot of people who think that there is some kind of litmus test for what it means to be masculine or what it means to be American or what. And I'm saying a lot of people, back in 1980, there was a Holocaust survivor by the name of Emmy Schaefer. She had fled Germany during World War II, made it to the United States. I think she spoke like 3 or 4 different languages. She spoke Yiddish and German and Russian and maybe Polish, but she came here to America, and having been saved effectively by America during the Holocaust, she assimilated. She learned another language. She learned English so she could be American and be successful here in this country. And the Miami-Dade County Commission, then the Metro-Dade or Dade County Commission, passed a bilingual ordinance where they said that everything in county government now is going to be bilingual. So we have to, this is 79, so they had to hire translators. They had to make sure that all of the literature and paperwork in the county and that all county offices could interact with both English language people and Spanish language people. Well, Emmy Schaefer claims that she went into a county office one day to get a service in 1979-ish and couldn't find anyone who spoke English. Oh. And she decided that she was going to take some action on this.
Anti-bilingualism leader Emmy Schaefer led a sparse band of supporters through the streets of downtown Miami this afternoon.
What I have to accomplish to get the message to our local, state, and federal government.
94% of all American people throughout the United States speak only English. A majority of these people would oppose the situation as it exists here. Yet they cannot all be classified as bigots.
Representatives from several Latin organizations gathered at the Torch of Friendship for a counter-protest.
Selling of hate is very easy. Selling of love is very difficult. So we suggest that she stops polarization of our county.
What she did is she got a petition drive together. It got signed, and they put on the ballot later that year, November of 1980, an English-only ordinance that Dade County was only we're going to have one language, that no more money would be spent on translations, on attempting to communicate with this ever-growing population in our community, which would later become the minority-majority
and the Miami
community.
accent.
And then the West Kendall. I speak fluent West Kendall.
I'm really trying to speak English. Like, I speak English really well, but like I don't even know why is it
super well.
Super
good, bro.
I think that's what we have to work on first, like people's accents. Like honestly, like let's get the English right, and then we can make it that rule.
So what happens? So we have a Republican candidate for president that year who is a former B-movie actor, a kind of left-of-center Republican governor of California, who is running for president as a Republican, Ronald Reagan. And he was one of the first candidates to come down to Miami and really campaign to the kind of hardline anti-communist Cuban community down here, Brigade 2506, the Bay of Pigs veterans. And he was running on a campaign, a platform, a slogan of "Let's make America great again." And what happens? We elect Ronald Reagan president, and Dade County passes that English-only ordinance in November of 1980. So there is a part of it that sees sort of a return to that sense of, perhaps you would call it hate or exclusion, but is that the way the pendulum is swinging?
It limits us. It limits the country. Just to, it should be mandatory to know both. No, but then you have to throw in the Creole. You have to give it to the
Creole. Wait a second. Are you complaining that you'd also have to do Creole as well?
Yeah, because if we allow Spanish, then we also have to do the Creole.
But we do that. Look at our ballots.
That's what I'm saying.
Our ballots tend to be very long because they're in three languages. I'd say shouldn't they be?
Every single voicemail is like para español, marque dos. It's like for real. Like it's. But they and
wait. But is that a problem? Or is that how it should be?
I mean, it's great for my mom. Like, you know what I mean? She came here in 1985 and never tried. Like, never tried. She had the books, like Inglés sin Barreras or whatever. But, like, they were never opened. My father gave her never opened, didn't try. She was like, I won't have friends. She didn't care. She was just like, I have my daughters. I don't know anything else.
Miami is an extraordinary place in that way. It's one of the few places in the United States where you can come, never learn English. In fact, even the signage, the people you deal with or work with on a daily basis, the menus, the billboards,
Uber drivers.
You'll never have to learn English, and you can have a perfectly successful, happy, wonderful life.
Yeah.
Or you get deported.
And
they save that for black people.
Yeah. You know what word that they like? I go to Miccosukee often to go gamble there. Miccosukee Casino. I don't know if you guys have ever been there. My favorite place. My favorite place.
Out on Chrome?
Yeah, on Chrome.
Oh my God.
That's where the Olympics should be. Oh my God.
Just slash and burn the Everglades and build a fucking stadium there.
I know
somebody who would agree with that. He's going to be on the show shortly.
But yeah, no, gambling is a big thing now, so it's fine. It's okay for me to gamble now openly.
I think gambling's great, but I mean, you go out to Miccosukee, you are dedicated. Like
I'm dedicated.
You are committed to losing your money.
No. It pays out well. But anyway, those people over there do not speak a lick of English. It's mostly Cuban people gambling a lot and not speaking English, but they know the words that benefit them. Like when they win, they'll be like, "Catch out," and that means cash out. So they know like the words. Yakbot. They know the
Yakbot. Is that
Yakbot?
Yakbot.
Yeah. Sorry to scream. But it's just so funny that they've only learned I'm trying to think of other words, and they'll come to me if that. They learn enough just to like get what they need, which I love.
Do they ever recognize you? Your voice, I mean.
Oh, my voice? Oh, yeah, because I did the Miccosukee ads for a long, long time before the pandemic.
Well, you had to pay off your gambling debt somehow. They're going to break your fucking legs, maybe.
True story, I was on a losing streak, and I had just lost like $400.
For real?
That day. And I was like, let me see if they have like a media, like an office of like something. And so I started looking around or whatever. I asked, and I got to an office, and I was like, hi, I am Paula. I was like, the person that does your ads right now on TV like sounds really bad, like really like, like a little bit like kind of like, let's go to Sunset Place, like what do we like that girl. And I was like, and I can give you like a really good bilingual read and blah, 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 blah. I got the job.
Are you serious?
So Miccosukee.
By willpower.
So they would pay me money.
And debt.
And then that's
gambling
the only money that I would be allowed to gamble would be my Miccosukee checks. I would just bring them back. And then that was my gambling budget, my own VO. Don't tell them.
That's very responsible, actually.
Yeah, it is.
I'm very impressed.
Paying them back and everything. It's not like free talent right there.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Give it right back. You're right.
Have you ever been out there? I went out there a lot of years ago. They had like a $9.99 surf and turf.
It's amazing.
At the restaurant in the middle of island in the middle of the casino.
It's 30 now.
It's 30 by inflation. But the sorry, there was like a Roy bobblehead. There was a Roy bobblehead I just saw there in the booth.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss that on Monday.
No, you're not. All the grocery prices are gonna come down immediately. Come Monday, it'll be all right. So I think it's fascinating out there because it's like
amazing.
Yeah, because like the Seminoles got all the good shit. Like they got like they bought the most American brand Hard Rock.
Yeah.
They have like the sexy building and like a good location right there off the turnpike and everything.
Yeah.
But the Miccosukee are like, no, we're good out here. We're good. We're gonna stay out here in the Everglades.
And be humble and be chill. And that building hasn't been renovated in like 50, 60 years. The carpets are old and amazing. Like it smells like, dude, it is.
What does it smell like?
It like
smells like 1937.
The 60s in Vegas. It's like but it's only Cuban, so it's like very Native American mixed with Cubans, and it's just a world of its own. It's my favorite place in the
cigars.
world.
It smells
Let's
like
go
cigars.
After this.
20 years ago, we should. Okay. 20 years ago, I went out there for a Tyson fight, and they had like this dome, this like this off to the side. Do you remember this giant building?
Yes, absolutely.
They, instead of building an addition, they just put up this weird giant like temporary.
They had a bunch
dome.
of wrestling there, a bunch of like and boxing and.
They had free, so come watch the Tyson fight for free. It was like a pay-per-view fight. I can't remember the fight because this night was so crazy. I just remember how crazy the night was.
And it was a short fight, probably.
It was a short fight, and we started. It took longer to get there. We started going west on Tamiami Trail on Cayocho on 8th Street.
Yeah.
And then it was bumper-to-bumper traffic. Oh. I know the development has increased westbound, but like there was a time when there was nothing out there. I mean, nothing out there. And so we hit bumper-to-bumper traffic, and everybody's just now pulling over to the side of the road and just leaving their car and walking. But you're walking
next to the gators
in the Everglades, next to this creepy canal in pitch black. And so I'm like, I don't know that I want to park here. So we kept rolling, and we finally said, fuck it. Like we gave up. We pulled over, we parked, and we start walking. We start following this crowd, and there's just a line of people. We're walking in the swamp, and then there's just this, in the middle of the darkness, right there at the corner of Chrome and Cayocho and Tamiami Trail, there's just all of a sudden this building.
The casino.
The casino.
And it says gaming.
And
it doesn't say casino. It just says gaming.
Don't even say Miccosukee.
Miccosukee gaming. I don't know if it's like a legal thing, or that they couldn't call it a casino because they can't. It's like with bingo. Every machine is also with bingo. It's like they have a license for bingo.
Yeah, it's a certain class of gaming.
Yeah,
it's like
class
right that you can't. The machines have to be programmed to play against each other rather than the house. Yeah. It's very complicated. But we're just walking down this line of people, and my buddy Dave, I'll never forget this, because we're walking next to the swamp. There's a road to the left, and there is just Everglades.
It's
to the right.
alligators. Yeah.
And so
Sawgrass.
So Dave goes, as we're just walking along, there's like women and children. There's this line of people trying to walk their way to this. Yes, walk their way to this
women and
casino.
children going to the Tyson fight.
Pure degeneracy. and so all of a sudden, Dave, brushing next to the Everglades, goes, "Oh shit!" and throws himself into the bushes as if he had gotten pulled in there by some swamp creature. And this woman goes, "Ah!" And I'm like, and I didn't know he was gonna do it. I was like, "Oh shit!" And then Dave just like jumps out, like, "Just kidding." This woman was sobbing. This child was like gonna run out into the street and get hit by. It was pretty funny. Then it was pretty funny.
Go Dave, bro.
But then we get, long story even longer, we finally cross the street because we like parked by the gas station. Okay. That's in like the south.
I know the gas station.
Yeah, like the southeast corner of that intersection.
It's pretty bummed. They have like all kinds of Native American like souvenirs too.
Yeah, like gator jerky.
Yeah.
You parked at the gas station?
I bought a manatee skin belt there. It's pretty amazing. We parked at the gas station.
You didn't get towed?
No, everybody was doing it. Everybody was just pulling over wherever they could at the cigarette trailer or whatever, and then walking.
Cigarettes are really cheap over there, guys. Just if you need cigarettes in 2025, still go
buy it wholesale.
It gives you that sexy South Park voice. I've noticed.
Hello.
So we finally get to the edge of the parking lot, and we look up, and at those tall lights, there's what I can only describe as flying cats, like these
bats. Bats there?
We didn't know what they were, but we're like, what the hell is that up there? These giant insects with wings flying. They were palmetto bugs, but they were like the size of my fucking head, and they're flying. Wow. And then we look down, and there's piles of dead palmetto bugs all over the parking lot. And everybody, so imagine, we're all in this weird single file kind of line in the Everglades, and all of a sudden, we disperse because everybody's trying to avoid these piles of palmetto bugs. And this was like out of Jurassic Park, this play. It was unbelievable.
That is a great story.
And we all just like, everybody just, can you imagine the shot overhead? We all just suddenly like disperse, and people going left and right and just trying to avoid. But I've never seen and everybody's looking up too because we're scared that these things are dying and then falling. It was like fucking locusts out of the sky.
Them?
I don't know.
I love Miccosukee, guys. If you haven't
probably
been there,
cocaine.
Go support Miccosukee. Go support Miccosukee. Yo, let me just tell you a quick story, just like really quick. It's just for Thanksgiving. My mom, we're Chilean family. My mom likes to gamble, of course. But like every Thanksgiving, my mom has made it a tradition, and this Thanksgiving was no different. She's made it a tradition. She's like, we need to go give back what we took from the Indians. She calls it los indios. So we need to go give back what we took. And I'm like, Mom, the Native Americans, obviously, because we can't say that yet. There's no button for that. We can say
that now.
No.
They're not a baseball team in Cleveland anymore.
But my mom goes to the casino every Thanksgiving to give back what we've taken from the Native Americans. I'm like,
reparations.
Mom, we're Chilean. What have we taken from the Native Americans? What have the Chileans taken from the Miccosukee Indians? She makes no sense. I just wanted to interject with, I think that's hilarious.
It's just empathy is all.
Empathy? No, she wants to gamble. She wants to play Buffalo. That's what she wants to play, the Buffalo machine.
So it's just an excuse.
Tatanka. But she also wants to.
We can say that now.
But she also wants to feel good about
reparations.
Well, about gambling. She wants to have she wants to say, "Oh, no, I'm doing like a mitzvot.
I'm giving back what
I'm doing a good thing by
she
losing."
Took her, like our people have taken nothing from the Miccosukee Indians, but she is. Okay, so that's it. Sorry.
Our next guest needs no introduction. I'll do it anyway. Fans of the show, fans of Miami sports will recognize him, and his name will send a chill down your spine. He is the former president of the Florida-turned-Miami Marlins, and less than 2 decades ago, he was responsible for negotiating with the city of Miami, the county of Miami-Dade, and for a brief time anyway, the state of Florida, in an effort to get public funds to build him and his ownership group of the Marlins a private stadium, effectively. What I would call the worst, at the time, the worst sports welfare deal in the history of the country. A deal that accomplished nothing that it was promised. That was nothing that was promised. It did not revitalize Little Havana economically. It did not change the attendance fate of the team, which is still in competition for the bottom two of the worst attendance in Major League Baseball. Of course, for our neighbors to the north, Tampa is usually right there in contention. All it accomplished was, on the backs of broke-ass Miami taxpayers, made his stepfather and the owner of the Miami Marlins, Jeff Loria, a billionaire.
Usually when you introduce guests, you usually give glowing praise. Introduce them.
Well, I think he's erect hearing all of that. I think that was
like a stadium.
That was.
He doesn't look erect.
That was by.
I'm 65 inches strong right now.
That is him fully erect. He is a shillelagh and a half high right now.
He's getting pale.
So that's
the blood is going.
This deal was so bad. The publicity surrounding it so negative and scandalous. It was believed that it might be the last sports welfare deal of all time. The exact opposite turned out to be true. Like a cancer metastasizing throughout the country, we have spent untold billions of dollars annually on subsidizing or outright financing professional stadiums for every conceivable sport, professional and amateur at this point, that you could possibly imagine. And mostly, these owners are billionaires. So we are providing welfare effectively for billionaires. And David Samson is joining us to talk about the top 3, in no particular order, Florida sports welfare deals to watch in 2025. Nice. Welcome, David.
Hey, with that introduction, I almost walked off the set. But I think that the most important thing, Billy, is that back in the day when you were trying to stop the deal from happening, and of course you couldn't, you really did think it was the worst deal of all time. And I said to you, and I remember this clear as day, that if you think this is going to be the last sports financing deal, then you need to get back into a hole from which you came, because we're just getting started, baby. And what's happened over the last 15 years is just a continuation of what happened, Billy. I didn't invent the playbook. I played by the playbook, and the playbook is now being used by people all over the country.
And to be fair, your play was for a stadium and a parking structure that I think was ultimately cost taxpayers, $600-700 million sticker price, and will, over the course of the long haul, the financing, the interest cost over $2 billion with a B dollars. Yours was not what we are seeing every single day in this country now, which is a straight up real estate play. And that's what's happening in Orlando. That's the first one here, is that they want an entire city block, I think, adjacent or across the street from the Orlando Magic Arena. It's the Kia Center. I can never keep up with it. It was Amway before that. I can never keep up. So I'll just say the Orlando Magic Arena. And more importantly, they want it declared a community development district, if ever there was a misnomer, kind of like a public-private partnership. A community
very
development
common,
district.
Billy. Come on.
What?
Don't mislead your audience. These districts are created all over the country in order to capture what people say is but-for revenue. And I always laugh because I would put the 2 T's in the but-for revenue, because that's about what people are doing to the public. But what a but-for revenue is
Florida
supposed to
dad
be with
jokes.
1 T. Yes, what can I tell you? The 1 T. You should not have access to the buttons that Dan has access to.
I have access to the buttons,
I don't
Dave.
have. I don't know. But I'll say but for. But enough about Andrew Gillum.
I'm not touching that one.
I will not.
Andrew would.
No, you're not.
I don't know who that is.
That's the best reaction.
Even
He's
better.
under the desk.
Okay.
Okay, but for.
Let me just explain, Billy, what but-for revenue is that were it not for a stadium, were it not for the team being in that stadium arena, then any sort of economics that are driven around that, any sort of revenue that the state would get or a city would get or a county from a restaurant, from a museum, from a shirt that's bought, that is only happening because of the team being there. And what teams do is they say, listen, of course it's absolute horse hockey, but we all argue it. It's page 12 of the playbook. And what we say is, let's draw a line. And inside that line, we're going to keep all the revenue, and whatever taxes are collected, give them back to us. And we will use that to bond out money, meaning we can borrow money by having this as a way to pay the money back. And then what we say is, dear commissioner, but for our team, no one would be buying a shirt, eating at a restaurant, or doing anything in this area. Therefore, you won't be missing anything. That's the argument that owners are making. And secondly, they all make it a real estate play because I was a rookie wanting just a ballpark and parking. I should have, and I tried to get control over the retail at Marlins Park and around Marlins Park with the structures and at the west side of the building, and I didn't make it a deal breaker, and I should have. My bad. The fact of the matter is the teams now want control of everything around their ballpark, and they want all the revenue that comes with it.
So the DeVos family, the Amway heirs, multi-billionaires, own the Orlando Magic, and what they're looking for here, and will likely get, they always do, they want to use tax-free debt to pay for a $44 million privately owned parking garage and other infrastructure. They have a federal tax break. That's the federal tax break I think that they want, on top of a $42.5 million package of city-funded tax breaks and grants. And it comes just a few months after Orlando City Hall pressured the greater Orange County government into putting another $226 million of county taxpayer money into the Kia Center, which is quote-unquote city-owned, as is Marlins Park. But it's built just for the Magic, and it's owned by the Magic and effectively and operated by the Magic. They keep most, if not all, of the revenue generated there. Why should we be giving hundreds of millions of dollars to billionaires to basically fix their office, so they're privately owned stadiums?
So let me just correct you. First, Marlins Park is owned by the county.
Yes.
And the reason why you have a public entity own an arena or ballpark is so you don't have to pay property taxes. And when a arena is privately owned, like Joe Robbie, that forces the owner of that team or the occupant of that building to pay property taxes, and no one wants to do that. And so that's very common that you have buildings. It's not just Miami. It's all over the country. Wow. You've got communities that own the buildings where the private enterprise is being held.
But owned on paper only. Owned on paper
only.
Because it doesn't mean anything that we own it, revenue-wise, right?
Yeah, you have no power, no control. You have no nothing. That's always what we wanted for Miami. We didn't want Miami to be involved in any way because we felt they were incompetent. We didn't want them to build anything because we felt they didn't know how to build it, and if they did, it would be over budget. We didn't want Miami to be involved with any part. It was bad enough that we let them build the garages, and we had to be on top of that at all times. And so what you see with deals now around the country is teams taking ownership of all of it, the construction of not just their ballpark, but of the surrounding development. And you're seeing it in Miami now at Mel Reese, where Inter Miami is trying to build a city at Mel Reese. What you're seeing is a family who is going to benefit greatly from that, and what you hope is a community that will as well.
Did you?
Oh, no, I just, while I have you here, can I shoot my comedy special at the Marlins Stadium?
No, it's...
Well, he's not involved with the team anymore.
So you understand I've been gone for 7 years.
I'm just kidding. No, what I wanted to know is, like, so you can have other events in these stadiums? Like, can someone have like Shakira have a concert there?
Absolutely. I went to a monster truck rally.
But you said they keep the profits. So, like, does that mean that the stadium does keep the profits?
Yes, the owner of the team, which operates
the profits of someone else's concert.
Not only no. Of course, there's if it's being rented or there's some rev share with
they get a
with
cut?
the event. What I'm saying is the city or the county doesn't get shit.
All right.
Is the problem?
That's what you're
saying.
Who
quote unquote owns the venue, the owners of the building.
Right.
Like I said, in name only or on paper, get no benefit from those events. And in fact, even worse, I don't know what your deal was, David, at Marlins Park, but I know at the American Airlines Arena or FTX Arena, or whatever the hell it's called across the street here, the Miami Heat Arena. Okay, whatever you say.
I've ever been to.
In that arena, the county, in addition to getting almost $0 annually in revenue from once again an arena they own, the county pays the Miami Heat, pays them millions of dollars every year to quote unquote manage as a management fee.
Why?
To operate.
Why is the county being so beta? Like, why are they? Sorry.
We can say that now.
Right. So David, did you guys get paid to quote manage a management fee to run our ballpark?
No, it's two different ways. The reason why that happens at the AAA, which I don't think we call it, but do you call it the KC now, Roy?
No.
I don't know what.
Not at all. Not at all.
So it's just called the Kasaya Center?
Yeah, the Kasaya Center.
FTX, Miami Coin Arena. Bang Brothers Center, BBC.
That lasted about 18 months.
And by the way,
what
if it
happened
lasts 18 months, you should talk to a doctor. You should definitely call your doctor if it lasts longer than 18 months.
God, you've had so many erection jokes in one show. I can hardly keep it.
I'm so excited to see you.
That's really something.
He did perk up a lot.
So in any case,
You did perk
remember,
up.
if in a privately, I am pale, and not for the reason I'd like to be.
It's
So
the lighting in
a
the studio.
Publicly, exactly. It certainly is not this talk of stadiums and financing. While you think that would get me going, that's actually not what gets me going these days.
What gets you going?
In any case.
Oh. What
Just the red light of the camera.
Okay, that gets you going. Oh, okay.
Yeah. The countdown in my ear. 3, 2, 1.
Oh yeah, his nipples are going to tear right through that leopard print shirt or whatever the hell that is. I bet. Can you give me?
I think it's polka
hang on,
dots.
Paulie. Can you give us a Spanish countdown in that South Park purr?
En
Univision.
En Porque Miami podcast. 3, 2, 1.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
And that's pretty good, man.
So good. Can I get that taped and use that to start every show I do?
I would love
We've never
that.
met actually until
Hi,
now.
nice
I'm
to
David,
meet
by
you,
the way.
man. What's up, David?
I would like
I
to
love the shirt.
license your voice.
Can we please work together? I love this. Okay, yeah, okay. I'm your voice. Can I be the voice of your voice of reason?
You will be the voice of my audience's dreams if you can count down like that.
I can do
But
it in
in
Spanish
any case-
and English. Yay!
I'm sorry to interrupt this.
I'm
this
getting
But
the
we're
job.
actually doing a podcast.
I'm sorry. I'm getting
to-
a job right now, so please.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt this like speed dating session or whatever the hell's happening
job
here
interview.
right now. Yeah. All right. You were. I think
Billy,
David,
let
you
me
were-
get back and tell you why very quickly these deals come together. In the case of Marlins Park, you had the public actually contribute money toward construction. In other deals, you've got the public that doesn't give money toward construction, but they give money in other ways, like with the Dolphins, where Stephen Ross gets a sum of money from the county for hosting marquee events and for attracting marquee events to Miami Gardens. In the Heat's example, they got money on an annual basis to manage the stadium, which they then go to a bank and say, look, we are getting this money every year from the county. Therefore, can we borrow the money needed to construct the AAA or to do the things that we're doing as part of our business, and we'll pay you back from this guaranteed revenue stream from the public. So in New York, they built Yankee and Met Stadium with private money, except they didn't. They got all the public money they could have ever wanted, billions of dollars. It just didn't become a big deal, and it's called a payment in lieu of taxes. A pilot payment is a payment that a team makes, not taxes to the taxpayers and to the community. It's actually a payment to repay borrowed money, in theory.
Oh,
and
wow.
so my point is there are many different ways that owners do it, all with the intent of contributing as little as possible in order to maximize their ability to make profit annually and to increase the value of their team.
I should shout out our friend Jason Garcia at Seeking Rents, who has a great Substack post about the sports billionaires who continue to feast on Florida taxpayers. But before we go, David, we have to talk about what you brought up in passing a moment ago, because one of these sports welfare deals to watch in 2025, the one we were promised they would not seek any public subsidies on, is, of course, the ultimate boondoggle, which is Mel Reese, the Inter-Miami real estate hustle on a 99-year, no-bid, below-market value lease on the single largest piece of green space owned by City of Miami taxpayers. It was the largest piece of actually contiguous real estate, period, owned by the taxpayers. Just this week, David, Miami Mayor Francis Suarez gave his mercifully final State of the City address, and he chose to do it at the so-called Miami Freedom Park. And this is what he said about negotiating this deal.
This was like birthing a child, this deal. It's moments like these that often go unseen. Having to work on my birthday from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. negotiating what I believe to be the best sports deal in America. Such a good deal that not only do I challenge anyone to find me a better deal, I'd actually like to know if there is one.
The lie detector test determined that was a lie.
Did you say working on my birthday?
Yeah, he's a narcissist.
Feliz cumpleaños.
Birthing a child like a C-section.
Let's set aside for a second the fact that this guy is effectively and allegedly an unregistered lobbyist for the same people he was negotiating. He was literally on the same side, physically on the same side of the table as them. His law firm represents MLS. Like, this was very much like this was the left hand negotiating with the right hand. The poor guy was up all night on his birthday. By the way, getting paid millions of dollars for it. I just
that's impressive for a bro dude. Like, he's such a bro dude, and like that's impressive. He has so much power. Dang. Okay, sorry.
So it's funny you say that because he actually has no power. He's tried to run for president and realized quickly that he is not even a big fish in a small pond. And that speech to me is laughable because the deal he did with the Moss brothers is one of the most pro-team deals that exists in the country. Whoa. The ability to develop that land the way the Mosses are going to do it, they don't give a flying rat's ass about the soccer part of the deal. They care about the real estate, the development, the hotel, all the different ways that they will get annual, monthly, weekly, and daily revenue. Inter Miami is like a side note. David Beckham is collecting money based on his team's value going up. Lionel Messi will be gone, and the Mosses will be there controlling this land for generations. Wow. And Suarez stands up to congratulate himself. I'm embarrassed for you at the city
Mr. Mayor,
of
you're brilliant. You were super smart.
So
where did he go to high school? Did he go to Columbus? He looks like a Columbus guy.
He got apparently kicked out of Belen. He got kicked out.
Okay.
He got kicked. I think he wound up at Columbus. I'm not sure, but how do you get? He was the mayor's son, and he got kicked out of Belen. I don't know how you do that, but I'd love to know.
Practice.
Last August, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis handed out $8 million in a state grant to pay for a new road serving Miami Freedom Park. Then he got Moss brothers got another $3 million state grant that Florida's Republican-controlled legislature kind of hid into this year's budget to also pay for more. There was no big ceremony for that. With the oversized check, they just snuck that in. This is in addition to more than $300 million in local subsidies, that are supporting the development. That includes over $70 million for site prep and infrastructure, and including cleaning up environmental contamination, which I imagine there'll also be some federal subsidy for that as well, as there usually is with these former Superfund sites. And get this, here's something they negotiated. Because they need tenants, right, on this real estate hustle and this mall and this office park. And also, by the way, there's going to be a soccer stadium there. I don't know if you heard. But the first tenant is going to be the city of Miami, because Francis, quote-unquote, negotiated a $250 million city administration building. So he's basically going to be moving the city government there. So guess what? The city of Miami is now going to be a tenant paying
rent.
On their own property.
Wow.
What kind of a fucking deal is that?
That's not a deal. That's crazy.
What kind of a deal? To go ahead and give a 99-year lease to these and then say, okay, now we're going to lease it back. I mean, it's like I said, it's the left hand negotiating with the right hand. I mean, this was a in my opinion, a corrupt act. This was a robbery that we witnessed all happen on live television.
This is my favorite deal that's ever existed in Florida, the Inter-Miami deal.
Yeah.
And the reason why is that no longer can people talk about Marlins Park as some sort of terrible worst deal.
That's great.
Because when you have a frame of reference like what Moss has done to Miami, that's it.
Yeah.
I am off the hook permanently.
Congratulations.
So Roy, you should ask me, ask me if I think that the Marlins Park deal is the worst sports welfare deal in the history of sports now.
Billy, do you believe that the Mullins Park deal is the worst sports deal in the history of the United States of America?
Fortunately, I have a translator here, so all of our listeners can understand this. In English, no.
No.
Thank you. That is in Espanol as well.
Everyone.
That is no. I don't think it. But David, you didn't take exception to me repeatedly referring to these arrangements as sports welfare deals. I wonder if you have a different view on it, or if
I don't know how much time you have, but you've always been on the wrong side of this because you've always believed that it's just sports owners who do this. But in fact, these sort of tax incentives are used all over by all industries, including the industry you're in. You and I have had this debate, and I'm happy to have it again. I love that you choose to be this sort of disruptor, but you do it without facts. And the facts are that communities have sports teams, communities have facilities. Not everything is meant to be for profit, and you need the private sector to spend their intellectual capital and also their blood and sweat equity to do certain projects, and you have to make it worth their while. That's the role of the government. I never felt 1 ounce of guilt for what we did to bring baseball to Miami. And look, if it weren't for me, you wouldn't have Miami Live.
Congratulations.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Well, okay, before we go, Miami Live, what do you think about? I don't know that it's such a bad thing, but we might be on the opposite sides of this one.
There's no chance it succeeds. It's what we've dreamt about. We wanted urban sprawl to hit Little Havana. We wanted there to be some sort of development around Marlins Park to make it a year-round destination, and it's failed.
Make it a
And
casino.
It failed my first 5 years.
I'd love
and
that.
And it's failed in the 7 years since.
Make
But
it a casino.
Maybe this will be it.
Miami Live is this development one on the west side of the building where they're going to build like this. I think it's sort of a shopping mall, restaurants.
No, that's not right.
What is it,
Billy? It's in the West Plaza.
West
It's really
Plaza.
Where's that?
What a big
that's
monitor
not on
is.
land. They're not building structures.
Oh, it's not that lot
What they're gonna
to the
do-
west of the.
No, they're doing it literally on the West Plaza. Maybe they could use the lot just to the west where you don't need parking because they don't have enough fans.
Right.
But what you have to do is you have to put something there that people want to go to on non-game days because God knows on game days there aren't enough people to make it profitable.
Right.
And it's very unlikely that people will come to that neighborhood on any day to engage in what quote-unquote Miami Live offers. I hope it works for Miami's sake, but I do not see a path to economic prosperity.
Like a
there.
mall. A mall's not going to
Well, it's not a mall. It's like kind of like restaurants, arcade. What the hell is it? It's much smaller than I thought it was going to be. The footprint it would be tiny if it's just in the.
Like Gulfstream
Yeah, it's
Park.
way
like
smaller
that?
than you think.
Yeah, and the most frustrating thing about it is though that the people behind Miami Live are part of these things all over the country. So it's a company from out of state that's supposed to curate a Miami experience for Miamians in Little Havana.
Well,
my concern is that inauthenticity is not gonna.
Well, make
succeed.
it put like horse races or something like that to bring
Cockfights. That's the only way you could sell out Marlins Park. is the Savannah Bananas
I mean, dog
and,
races, something
and
like that.
cockfights. You
I
could
don't know.
believe me, Samson would have done it if he could have done it.
If I thought there were profit in cocks and fighting, I would do it. Of course.
But enough about Andrew Gillum. In terms of the government bringing value to these teams, they certainly do. As I mentioned earlier, it took your ownership group from multimillionaires to billionaires, and you sold the team for over $1 billion on the back of the taxpayers' investment. And the Orlando Magic, they have more than tripled the value of that team over the past 10 years to an estimated $3.2 billion. And Inter Miami, which is one of North America's newest pro sports franchises, is already worth more than $1 billion according to Forbes valuations. And of course, the Rays, who are always in contention with the Marlins for the lowest attendance in Major League Baseball. They now want another $1 billion for a new ballpark, and their value over the past decade is now $1.3 billion. So I'm not exactly sure who this is supposed to benefit, but we know it sure as hell is benefiting the billionaires. I thought you were going to say Free Luigi. I really thought you were going to do that. No.
I mean, I will say it.
Yeah, I know
the Rays ballpark situation got a lot worse. So.
That would have been the third one that we just. So, David, will you come back to talk about the Rays? Because the Rays are about to outdo you again, too.
Oh, I'm getting outdone left, right, and center. I'm like the old record holder. And I don't say this with any sort of anger, angst, or regret. I'm happy that people have continued to blaze the trail that we started and that we continued, because these projects are necessary for us to make as much money as we can and to screw you, Billy, as much as we possibly can, which frankly is our only goal. We didn't even care about winning baseball games. We said, let's really screw Billy Corben.
Billy needs to be a billionaire so he can stop being mad at them. Just be one.
Do you have any doubts that Joe Biden had the majority of votes, electoral votes, necessary to be elected president in 2020?
You know, Senator, all I can tell you as a prosecutor is from my firsthand experience. And I accept the results. I accept, of course, that Joe Biden is president of the United States. But what I can tell you is what I saw firsthand when I went to Pennsylvania as an advocate for the campaign. I was an advocate for the campaign, and I was on the ground in Pennsylvania, and I saw many things there. But do I accept the results? Of course I do. Do I agree with what happened? And I saw so much, you know, no one from either side of the aisle should want there to be any issues with election integrity.
Okay, let's go ahead.
Country.
We can go ahead and stop it. Stop it there. As anybody, that is Florida woman, former state attorney general Pam Bondi.
It's a yes or no question.
Roy, it's a lot more complicated than that, clearly. Okay. And she is, of course, President Trump's nominee for United States Attorney General, there at her Senate Confirmation Committee, being asked about the outcome of the 2020 election, which she fought tooth and nail against on behalf of her client. And as anybody knows, a good prosecutor who has to rely on evidence and facts, quote, I saw many things there, end quote. That's, of course, that's of course what any good investigator or detective or prosecutor is looking to rely on, the true standard of evidence, which is I saw many. By the way, on my way here today, I saw many things.
I did.
Just walking. So what are you gonna believe?
Just walking
the truth
in the studio
or your lying eyes?
Listen, I saw stuff.
I saw many things.
I don't know how much
I saw many things. Scott Maxwell is the Metro columnist for the Orlando Sentinel, who has written some sensational columns about Pam Bondi and her rise to MAGA stardom. And in fact, I met Pam Bondi in Tallahassee when she was Attorney General. I kind of liked her, to be perfectly honest, at the time. And Scott Maxwell, you were a bit of a fan as well early on. I recall, I think, you actually coming to her defense during the early parts of her career. Tell us a little bit about that, and what have you come around, and how'd your girl Pam perform?
My girl, yeah. Fan might be a little bit of a strong word, but you are absolutely right that I was somewhat sympathetic to her original campaign when she came on the scene to run for Attorney General. She was actually sort of theoretically the moderate in the race, and she was being attacked by right wingers who thought she was unqualified for, among other reasons, being divorced and not having children. So wow. They didn't think she lived up to the family values. Wow. And I was, I wrote a couple pieces that, what the hell's wrong with you? And they went after her for petty things like that. But as you mentioned, I got to know her a little bit, to the extent that even when she was on her campaign, during the campaign and struggling a bit, she was prepping for a national appearance on Fox News, and she called me to help her prep for her appearance, which I would not normally have done, except it was about a crusade of wrongful convictions. I was willing to talk to anybody who would listen. Pam Bondi swore she wanted to be prepped so that if she got elected Attorney General, she could right these wrongs and open new investigations. That's not how it panned out.
What was this story, incidentally?
It's a complicated one, but there's a string of convictions in Brevard County where whenever the cops were sure that somebody had done something wrong, and I say sure, they believed somebody had done something wrong, and they couldn't prove it, they brought in this dog handler. And this dog handler and his magical dog would be able to allegedly trace scents through water, through rivers, across streets years later. And then they would use this dog handler's testimony to convict people. Anyway, DNA ultimately proved that the guy was full of baloney. A judge called the dog in. He couldn't like pick out a ham bone from
They got a bloodhound and put him in court.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I need to see this footage.
Yeah, so the dog got exposed for being a fraud. The dog handler
got exposed for being a fraud. That bitch.
And then
that bitch.
DNA proved that two of these guys were wrongfully convicted, but the dog handler helped convict like 12 people. So I was one of a lot of people that said, hey, maybe we should look at all these cases. Back in those days, this was like 2010. Geraldo was actually, the Fox News host. He was big on this case, as I think anybody would, saying we need to investigate this. He invited Pam on the show, and basically you could tell the setup here. It was like if Pam Bondi promised to investigate these cases. She was going to get Geraldo's endorsement and a lot of fawning coverage from Fox News, but she didn't know crap about the stories. So she called to ask me. And I said, well, you know what, if you're going to vow, it's not to help your campaign, but if you're going to vow to pursue justice, I'll help get you briefed. I did. She promised Geraldo she'd investigate. She promised me. She promised all the Fox viewers, and she did absolutely none of that.
I'm assuming this is a bloodhound. All right, so did this bloodhound?
That's racist.
German Shepherd.
That's racist.
It's a German Shepherd?
That's racist.
Did this German Shepherd perjure itself?
Oh, for sure. For totally.
It's jail time for the perjury.
I'll say that cross-examination was rough.
Dad jokes? All right.
Yeah, you have to have an effect for that.
So Scott, needless to say, she broke a campaign promise to really do what it is that I feel like promised at the hearing this week she would do, which was follow the law, was to do the right thing, and to investigate wrongdoing and follow the evidence wherever it may lead. And to that end, could you maybe refresh people's recollection about the Trump University fraud investigation?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And first of all, I think one thing that a lot of people may not realize is Trump University, in case they do not know, is not an actual university. It's a university in the same way like Burger King is actual royalty. It is not. Trump University was basically
it's where Dr. Pepper went to medical school, basically.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. That is MD there.
Yeah, in fact, that German Shepherd is a professor at Trump University.
Doogie Howser is an actual doctor.
Yeah. Touche. Yeah, so Trump University was like, you pay, I forget, $5,000, $10,000, whatever bucks is, and you learn how to get rich. And people who came through this, you will be shocked to learn. A lot of them said they paid a bunch of money and did not, in fact, get rich. And a number of them said they did not gain anything from paying all this money. Wow. So basically, to cut a long story short, people filed complaints. They said they were defrauded, and they did so in two states mainly. One was in Florida, and one was in New York. In New York, the attorney general went after it gangbusters, pursued it, quickly turned up evidence that they proved they believed it was a fraud, and netted a $25 million settlement for the people who were defrauded. Whoa. Here in Florida, where Pam Bondi was attorney general, that did not happen. Instead, what happened was the Trump Foundation cut Pam Bondi a check for $25,000 3 days after we wrote that her office was considering whether to investigate Trump University.
Whoa.
And then she did nothing. Absolutely nothing. Did not investigate it at all. And the folks in Florida got nothing.
After which, Donald Trump threw her a fundraiser, I believe, at Mar-a-Lago.
Well, he did. And by the way, Pam loves fundraisers, because one of my other favorite stories for her is this woman wants to kill everybody. Executions are her thing. That's her jam. Jesus. She gets her rocks off on executions, except for there was one time during her tenure where one execution that had been long awaited got postponed, and nobody could figure out what happened. They've been waiting 15 years for this thing. Turned out Pam had a scheduling conflict. She'd scheduled a fundraiser for herself on the same night as the execution. So she called the governor and asked if he could postpone the killing so that she could have her party, and then they'd get back to killing.
Homegirl is shameless.
You have to remember, this Florida woman is only there because Donald Trump's first choice, Matt Gaetz, pulled out.
Gracias,
Matt Gaetz.
So that is why we are here.
Gracias, Matt Gaetz. Who said that in Spanish?
And Scott, what do you think? I mean, listen, there's no reason to believe she's not going to get confirmed. She is most likely going to be the next Attorney General of the United States.
Really?
Remarkable. I don't really see what I only see a path to victory there for her.
She looks like she has a lot of work done. She should be Surgeon General. Oh, wait.
oh shit.
That's cool.
Oh my gosh.
She's not even blonde.
So she's probably more qualified to be Surgeon General than this state's Surgeon General. But
That's true.
Yeah,
so,
no, you're
Scott,
absolutely.
what is this? Yeah, what is this going to look like? What is Pam Bondi?
I see her sailing. In fact, one of the best things that probably could have happened to Pam Bondi was Matt Gaetz. I mean, next to Matt Gaetz, she looks like Clarence freaking Darrow.
She's a little old
she looks
for
like
him,
the most skilled attorney in the history of the United States. But as you just, gave your listeners in a snippet there, this is not an honest person. And I can say I don't throw that accusation out lightly. I mean, the reason she's there, as you may remember, she said before she wanted Donald Trump to prosecute the prosecutors. She has already clearly said what she wants to do as Attorney General. And then when asked by these senators if she prejudged any of these things, she said no. Well, I don't know whether you were lying before or you were lying now. Actually, I do have a pretty good feeling for which time you were. But those are two completely different things. And that is why she's being nominated, because she vowed to prosecute the prosecutors.
Find Scott Maxwell on the app formerly known as Twitter, at Scott_Maxwell. Read his columns. They are a blast of. Yeah. They're a breath of fresh air and a lot of fun.
Yeah, and like I don't know anything about politics, too much about politics. I understand that article was very easy read. It was just perfect for the laywoman.
Easy read.
Easy read.
Easy read.
Yeah.
For a woman who lays, or what is it?
I lay around a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
You are my audience then.
Scott Maxwell, thank you. Happy New Year. Is it too late to wish somebody a Happy New Year?
Never too late. We need all the happiness we can get these days.
Yes. Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know what's so happy or new about it, but Happy New Year.
It's definitely new. No, it's new.
I don't know what's old is new again. The Florida of today is the America of tomorrow. So, bienvenidos, Estados Unidos, to making America Florida again. I think this is
making America Florida again.
Yeah, I don't even know why there has to be a winter White House. I think we should just call the White House Mar-a-Lago now.
Yes.
Yeah, America's gonna get more Florida than it ever knew it wanted.
It's gonna get the something Florida out of them, I think or the Florida. I'm not sure what is it going to do.
The day you're going to start seeing Secret Service go into 7-Elevens with alligators, things like that.
Yeah, that's hot.
This is going to be fun.
I love Florida, so I don't mind it that much. You know what I mean? I think the United States could use to be a little Floridized.
It's just like art imitating life, imitating art, imitating life. It's like we are now like Carl Hiaasen wrote novels inspired by real Florida fuckery, and now we are the Carl Hiaasen novels. It's like the sort of the parody of what Florida was or is now the reality. It's just
Carl often said that there was no fiction you could make up that was more absurd than the state's reality. And to bring it all back full circle, in what other state would you have the prosecutor taking money from the person she'd been asked to investigate?
That's
and
insane.
that be okay?
That was public? That was there's record of that?
Yeah, of course. It all just happened.
Wow.
Yeah. The Ethics Commission took a good hard look at that and couldn't find anything that was worth pursuing.
It's good. It was hard.
Dude.
It's very hard.
Huh.
Like David Samson.
Like David Samson. Scott Maxwell, thank you so much. Pauley, thank you so much. Follow her on the Instagram machine at Pauley, Pauley me. Pauley me.
Pauley me. Follow me, guys, please. I'm very lonely.
Cocaines.
What?